Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. I am here today and I'm joined by the beautiful Ida from Ready to Love. Now, guys, you know when we do the sit downs, we like to have a conversation, one that's of respect. So please, in the comment sections, keep the comments respectful, all right? But Ida, thank you so much, first of all, for accepting the call to have this conversation with myself. I really do look forward to get a little bit deeper with you tonight as well. But yeah, it's good to see you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm alive and well. I've been dancing, as you know, so
You have been dancing.
that's what we like to do,
Lots of
guys.
dancing.
Join us on TikTok. I feel like granddad on there now.
Yeah, TikTok. I'm like, how do you do this? And I tried to
Honestly.
do one. I tried to do the Savage Challenge, and I was like, first of all, I'm out of
Oh,
breath.
you trying to do a little savage challenge? Is that you? Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really dance. So, I mean,
Yeah.
there was a real big leap because I can't dance to begin with. So it was a big leap for me.
But at least
It
you
didn't
tried,
work
right?
out. Just in the comfort of my own home. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you can
Yes.
always go again and try again. You first you don't succeed, try again. They say, isn't it?
Or just have a Coke and watch Hulu. I'm like, fuck, forget
I
this.
need to
I'm
get
about to
my
sit down.
subscription up on Hulu store and stop using these sites. So again, once more, thank you, Ida, for joining us today. We are going to have a conversation about Ready to Love, but I want to really get an opportunity to discuss with you and just kind of get to know you a bit better, because we see you on the screen. We see the behavior on the screen, but we don't know you personally, right? We get a snapshot, but we don't get to know you personally. Now, I know you've done a few interviews. This might be slightly a bit more different. I'm going to try and avoid the questions they already asked you. All right, let's keep it a bit spicy
Okay.
tonight. All right, keep it
You
spicy.
said it's gonna get spicy tonight.
Spicy, you know what I mean?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? You ready?
Yes, I
Cool,
am.
cool. I like to do a thing at the beginning, which is called human verification. It just means that we just get to ask just a little icebreaker question, just to kind of just ease us into the conversation tonight. So, my first question to you is a riddle. Okay, it's not a very good one, but it's a riddle nonetheless. Okay, the riddle is: the more you take away, the more I become. What am I?
A woman
Oh, that's not the
or a
answer,
black
by the way.
person? Is it a black person?
That is
A
not
black
the answer.
person. What do I win?
That is not the answer.
Okay.
The
Okay.
answer is a whole. I don't know. I got it from riddlesite.com. The answer is a whole. Don't ask me how.
I'll accept that answer.
Okay. That's what it says. My second particular verification is a song lyric, and I want you to give me the artist and the song. It says, "Just copped a Bentley and it's parked in my garage. A 2 o'clock appointment made for my massage, and everywhere we go, they know just who we are."
Can I phone a friend?
You can indeed.
Are you the friend?
Hello.
Hey, I'm on this show and they're
Mm-hmm.
asking me questions, and it could be little somebody, big somebody,
Mm-hmm.
ASAP somebody. Girl, I need help. So
Girl, you calling me when you're on the show? What show are you talking about?
it's a show on it on YouTube or whatever. I didn't invite you because I didn't know how it was gonna go.
Girl, you know I like a little bit of tea. Girl, you spilling them teas?
I mean, they're here to be spilled.
Okay, give me that. Give me the question. Shoot, I'm ready.
Oh, let me put him on the phone and ask you because at first I was like, is it Rick Ross? And then I started thinking about all these little backpack rappers, and I was like, I'm lost. A Bentley, a massage. I, I'm lost. I mean, I'd have did some 90s trivia, but my God, I'm lost.
I'll give you the answer. The answer is actually B2K girlfriend.
No,
I'm sorry.
little known fact. I don't want to give
Listen.
people more to talk about, but I used to like B2K. I used to watch them on in college. They would be on 106 and Park like every day.
Mm,
Not like them like a fan, but like they music, they didn't have bad music.
but which one was your favorite though? This is very important.
Oh no, they weren't attractive to me. They were to me they were like kids.
Oh damn,
You know,
that's a bit of a shame. That's a bit of a shame.
like I,
What would you say is a group or a musician that was like that was probably around you but a bit more older that you liked?
that I like musically or I thought was attractive.
Bit of both. Let's go for both.
Okay, so The person I had the biggest crush on growing up was Albie Sure. The
Okay.
biggest crush. Do you know who that is?
Nope. No clue. But I'm just gonna say yep.
Okay. I had the biggest crush on Albie Sure. Um, I would say the person who I liked the most, honestly, and this is not physically, but like my favorite artist, I guess growing up was probably Juvenile.
Mm-mm. What was it
Yes.
about Juvenile that was attracted to you, darling?
Not attractive physically, but he's a lyricist, and I feel like his songs or
Mm.
his raps told a story. Like I feel like you know how like current day people like listen to these rappers that have never sold a drug or lived in a project in their life, and they like want to emulate that. I feel
Mm.
like Juvenile was taking us to the hood in New Orleans. He was like really like you would see the videos, like they would take all the videos in the hood, and you like, man, that's right, man. Life hard out here. Like you just felt the story. Like I don't know. I just think he's a great lyricist. But like I always like I went to my first Hot Boys concert probably when I was like 14,
Okay.
and the last Juvenile concert I went to was like 2 years ago.
Wow.
So,
Okay. I like that.
yes,
Okay.
I go every time he comes to town.
Shout out Juvie if you're watching this.
Right? Uh,
Ida loves you.
Listen,
Shout out
Juvenile
Juvie.
married. I don't want no smoke. But he was very nice. He's very personable, super nice.
Love that. Love that. My final question in human verification is Ida. Do you put in the milk first or the cereal in first? Which one goes in first? It's very
The
important.
cereal.
Why does the cereal go in first before the milk?
Because I need to measure how much cereal it is. If you put the milk in first, the cereal is like floating on top of the milk. And people who put their cereal in after the milk are probably people who really enjoy the milk. I'm like, both of the cereal, splash of milk.
I hear that still. I hear that
Yeah.
still. All right, cool, cool, cool.
I've never heard of anybody putting their milk in first.
So,
Well, let me stop.
um, I'm playing. I'm a cereal person first. Um, uh, yeah, I like that answer
I
still.
mean, I'm sure somebody's doing it, and then
Oh,
later
there are
on
many
on
people.
Twitter they're gonna be like, "Ida's so stupid. She's never heard of people putting milk with our cereal."
I mean, I like the, I like to have my cereal a bit crunchy though. So you know what I mean. So I try not to
Right. So
have too
that's
much
why I'm
milk.
like cereal, splash of
Yeah,
milk.
you know what I'm saying.
That's
I'm
me
with
for
that.
sure.
I'm with that. I'm with
Have you
that.
had the? Do you eat Fruit Loops?
No, but I've seen it. We have some in the UK, but I've never actually eaten it. It's a bit like our
They
multi-grain hoops with here, but you got a bit more sugar in it.
yes, and but they have
A
them
lot more.
now with the marshmallows, like the Lucky Charms
Oh,
marshmallows, but in the Fruit Loops.
okay.
Okay, next question.
Is that your thing, right? Yeah, is that your thing, right?
Well, I try not to keep anything. I try not to keep like sweets and stuff like that in my house. But like, because if I buy a box of cereal, it'll be gone in like a day. I'm like, I think we can have breakfast for dinner and lunch and fourth
Mm,
meal, and like I will just eat it up. So I try not to keep any. But yes, when I buy cereal, I like the Fruit Loops with the marshmallows.
love that. Love that. Fruity Loop. People lovers out there, listen. Shout out, man. All right. It's a lot of sugar in that for me, but I hear you still. All right.
Exactly. That's why I can't have it in my house.
I hear that. I hear that. Well, Ida, you know what? We've got that out of the way now. We've gone through the human verification and stuff. And you know what? I always like to ask this question because I want to get to know you a bit better. So, Ida, who is Ida and what is Ida's story?
Um, so I guess my story, I think it's a bit mundane, but I'll share it with you anyway.
Oh, please. I'm ready to share. Go ahead.
I born and raised in Houston. I have two older sisters and one little brother, and grew up with my mom and my dad. And we were just like a really, we're still a close knit family. We used to go to like amusement parks together. I think the last time my mom took us to an amusement park, I was probably in high school, but it's because I can't swim. So she was like, "You can't go to the water park without me." But the catch is, she can't swim either. So
Neither can I.
was she
Neither
just
can
gonna
I.
go get the lifeguard? I don't know. So, but so we're just really super close, and we're also close still now. So that's like a big part of who I am. It's like my family. And I went to college like an hour away, and after I graduated, I started working. Let me back up. Shout out my school. I went to Prairie A&M University in Prairie View, Texas, and it's just like it sounds like a prairie is the country. But anyway, I pledged AKA there in fall 2003. Ski week,
Cool.
all my sorors out there. Um, And I went to college. After college, I started working. I moved to New Orleans for a little bit with my job, New Orleans, Louisiana. And as soon as I could, I got back to Houston. No cap to New Orleans. It just wasn't a good fit for me. So since then, I've obviously been, I have like nieces and nephews. They're like my everything. I love them. I spend so much time with them. Actually, when we were getting on, my nephew called me, and one of them just calls me every day to see how my day was. And he's 15. So I'm like trying to enjoy these last little months of him caring about how my day was. Because once they get to a certain age, they only text you. Yeah, they just like, you just start getting cash app requests and you like, did somebody hack your phone? So, but so I do spend a lot of time with my nieces and nephews, and I like to travel, and I like to like hang out. I like to socialize. I don't think I've ever met a stranger. I like to talk to people. I like to meet new people. I like to learn about people. I'm very, very inquisitive. I like to chat it up. That's a good way of saying I'm talking to. But to be fair, I do have a degree in communications. So, I mean, at least I try to do something with it. And I actually work in sales. So, yes, it pays the bills, right? So that's a little bit about me. I mean, in my spare time, I like to write, like not like creative writing, but like writing for myself, like journaling, or I like to send cards to people, and I just like to think of things to like, I like to just do random acts of kindness for people I like or love. So like I'll see something on Amazon, I'll just send it to, I'm like, I'll just send it to somebody. And I get so much joy when they text me like, did you send this to me? I'm like, I did. Unless it's my oldest sister who I call, I'm like, they said you got my gift. She goes, oh, I thought I ordered that. I'm like, okay, so you're welcome. She's like, oh. I love her. But yeah, so that's just who I am. I think that I'm still obviously like a work like everyone is. I think that every day is an opportunity to learn something, even if it's just a new word, or learn something about yourself, or learn something about the world. If I'm just like, getting older is inevitable, but like evolving is optional. And so I try not to be like, I sometimes look back on like my journals for like when I was like 20, 22, and I'm just like, oh, she got on my nerve. And it's like me. It's me.
What would you say? What was the kind of things that you were saying in that journal at 20-year-olds? 20-year-old Ida. What was Ida saying and doing at the time then?
I was in college, and I had a boyfriend who I was in hindsight, like in a toxic relationship, but like Ida now would have been like, psh. But I was with him for like 4 years, and it was like a whole journal of the same thing. I was like, oh my God, it's the same. Girl, are you reading this? Why are you writing this? Like, it's the same stuff every day. And so I was just like, man, I don't have any regrets. Like, I'm not like, you ruined my life. Like, no, nobody can ruin your life but you. But I just like where, like, there was some like, I don't know, breaking discipline at that point, because I was like, why was this the case? Oh my God. So I was like, oh girl, you don't want her. So currently I'm not that person that's like, I tell anybody, I don't have 4 years to play with you. Like, I don't have another 4-year relationship in me. Like, just boyfriend, girlfriend for 4 years and then bye. So, but yeah, that's a little bit about me. I like basketball. I actually played football in college. See, I got the word right.
Okay.
Little known fact, I was actually the team captain 1 year for our, we call it soccer. For our football team in college. Forward.
Oh, so you was a striker.
I was, but I was
Scoring
mostly
goals,
an assist person. I was mostly on the assist. One of my teammates, she was actually ranked nationally for goals. So listen, it was really a get the ball to Catherine situation. Get the ball to Catherine! Get the ball to Catherine! So like, I'm like, I support you, sis. Gone. Like, do you? We in here. So we actually went to the championship, our conference championship 1 year. And yeah, it didn't work out, because it's a difference between American football and like football in other countries. And so what I learned, or what we learned, is in our conference, all of our girls on our team were American. And so like, we're just like, we out here just killing the game. And then we went to, my college is a HBCU, which, do you know what that is? I'm not trying to insult you. Historically Black college.
I've heard of it. but I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a historically black college university, so it's like a lot. It's mostly predominantly black people. So our conference is predominantly black. So we go down to Mississippi, which I'm sure you know is like the
Very.
Gulf
Yeah.
Coast, and so
Yeah.
we like, man, we rode this bus by 12 hours. We have to go down here get this win, go to Olive Garden, head back to school. So we get down there, and their whole team is they're from this coach went to Canada and recruited an entire like graduating class, and they when I tell you they whooped us, and they only had 10 people on their team, they whooped us. I was like, and then when we got to the championship, it was a different school. That coach had recruited all of their people from, I want to say, because we had a teammate that was from Jamaica, but basically they were recruiting from other countries, and them girls did not come to play. Because of course they're from another country, they gotta keep the scholarship. They also just want to whoop your ass. So it was a lesson in like American football and football everywhere else. But it was really fun. It was a good time. So I still do like to watch soccer, and I do love watching basketball. Love basketball. So
Love that. I know American football and English soccer is slightly different, so
it
hopefully,
is.
yeah.
Man, listen, y'all be over there killing people if they lose the game.
Listen, we don't play. If you lose,
I see you see David Beckham was like, listen, we're gonna go and roll out. Because we're just gonna go and roll out.
more money in the US for him, so it's fair play
Yeah,
to
let's
Raj.
work
Fair
more
play to
money.
Raj. Trust
Because again,
me.
he's coming up here playing a different game. It's more money, less work, I think. Less pressure too, because they like, it's David Beckham. He just had a bad. Whereas over there, they'll get stampeded. Oh my gosh.
I love
No
that.
shade though.
That's right. So, I thank you for even sharing that. I really do appreciate it as well. For you as well, obviously, I want you to take us back a little bit then, because you talked a little bit about 20-year-old Ida, and you talked about having been in a toxic relationship as well. And maybe we can come back to that if you're comfortable to a little bit later
Yeah, we
on.
can talk about anything you want to talk about.
I appreciate that. Little Ida. I want to talk about young child Ida, full of dreams, full of ideas. I want to ask you a very simple question. Your childhood, what was your childhood dream? What would you say was your childhood dream?
Initially, I wanted to probably up until the seventh grade. I was like, I want to be a lawyer. I don't even know where I got that from. Probably the People's Court. I don't know. But once I got to eighth grade, ninth grade, from then on, I wanted to be a news anchor. I was a news anchor, and I also wanted like once I got to college and I started getting involved with the like college level sports, I was like, I could do sports. I had no idea. Well, I knew. I mean, obviously, any type of broadcasting is competitive, but sports broadcasting for women, like, it was just. By the time I figured that out, I was behind the eight ball. So I was just like,
Mm,
all right, I just want a job so I can get my own apartment. So I graduated. But
mm.
yeah, growing up, I wanted to be a news anchor. Um,
Okay.
you asked me when you started the sentence about me growing up. The first thing I thought was like I just kind of went back to that place like who was I like character wise growing up? And
Mm.
this is so funny. You're gonna enjoy this. I can't tell you how many times I got hit in my mouth for talking too much growing up.
What?
Literally hit in my mouth. I don't know if parents over there slap kids in the mouth.
Oh, we do. We're African out here.
Oh, okay, all
Put a
right.
belt on your
Because
head.
yeah, the last time I got slapped in the mouth, I was 17 and I was a freshman in college. So it was the last time my mom slapped me in the mouth. And by
Wow.
then she elevated to like a backhand. And so so that's so funny because I'm still talking. I hope you're watching mom.
Hmm.
And then she's like, you
Mm.
did so good. No, but you was slapping me in the mouth. But yeah, like anytime my mom would come to like open house, which is where like parents go meet the teacher night for parents, they're like, I was a great student. She's always talking.
Mm.
And I look at my mom. My mom, honestly, like I get it from her. So what can she say? She still slapped me in the mouth though. But now that we're both adults, she's like, I know you get that from me. I'm like, but then why you have to slap me in the mouth so many times?
Can I
I
ask you
still
an
never
honest
stop
question?
talking. Yeah, for
No, no,
sure.
you could, because you're saying it quite bluntly, as if it's normal, but you're getting hit in the mouth for talking.
Talking
Does
too
that,
much.
Yeah, but still, like you're getting hit in the mouth for talking too much, which is something that
Okay, so
you know what I'm saying? Like,
I should say this. I should be
okay,
clear. I should let me clear my mama name. I
I
might
wasn't
have
trying to
been
come at your
being
mom, by the
smart
way.
mouth. No, 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 no,
Okay.
no. Because baby, she'll pull up. She'll knock on this door right now. Um, so the last time I got hit in my mouth, I was talking shit to my mom. I
Mm.
was in college. I thought I was grown. You know, I got my little dorm. I don't have to be here. You know, she got her eyes dilated that day and she asked me to drive her around. And so like by the third stop, I was like, listen, and I'm in her car talking shit to her. I was like, I didn't come home to be driving you around and do all your errands. I didn't come home for that. Then next thing I know, you know, my glasses on the dashboard. You know what I'm saying? So like I had no right to talk to her like that. And so like that was kind of like one of those things. But no, it was never like, Mom, let me tell you about my day. No, it was never like that.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was always me taking it too far. But I agree. Sometimes, a lot of the times, people in general need better tools.
Mm.
And I also am a firm believer that people are products of what they learn. And so my mom, by the time she was 27, she already had 4 kids. So when I was in ninth grade, my mom was 37. I'm 37 right now. She had been a mom since she was 14. So when you become a mom at 14, the mother you were getting stopped. So all you have to go forward with is what you learned up until you were 14. And so as an adult, I now in dealing with so many people and also having had a long-term therapist, I understand that like people in life they go forward with the best knowledge they have. Nobody's like, hey, I know better, but I don't want to do better. Like, and so she wasn't abusive at all. Don't get me wrong. Like I wasn't getting slapped in the mouth every day. Honestly, between us, I don't know if anybody else is watching. I think I'm my favorite kid. So, but I do feel like now as an adult, looking back, like I'm 37 and I couldn't imagine having 4 kids. So I couldn't imagine like to me, like I don't know what kind of day she was having, but I come in there, basically talking crap to her. She's like, psh, like, and no, I guess it's not. Maybe it's not normal, but I think you, like I said, you know better, you do better, and I don't think that like she's not the person that's going to be right now. Like, yeah, if your kid is doing this, slap him up. Like, she's not that person. But at
Hey.
29, 30, 31, whatever, at that age, have lived on her own since she was 15, how much could she have learned before then? You
I
know?
understand.
Of course, I
So
didn't have that line of thought back then.
yeah, yeah, no, of course. So, you know that I wasn't actually looking at it actually at your mother in that respect. Actually, more of I was looking at what was done to you. So because whenever I'm looking at people's behavior, I look at what happens to them. So as much of I'm not saying that your mom was abusive, but I'm saying what was the impact then to you? Because actually you said at first it was you were smart mouth, but actually you just mentioned now is that you might have come in the house, you might have been talkative, and it might have happened. So I'm saying, what was the impact then when that happens to you? How did that impact Ida when you're younger then?
When I'm younger, I think that so when I was younger, surprisingly, not surprising, probably not surprisingly, I do feel like the reason why I am so outspoken now is because maybe probably up until I was 12 or 13, I didn't have much to say. I didn't even watch TV when I was a kid. I read books and like I would be like, can I see the bookstore? Like that was like if you wanted to do something for me, take me to the bookstore. I didn't really have a lot of friends. Like I had like one friend in middle school, one friend in elementary school. I was very, very just quiet. So I don't know when. I guess I don't even know how I got to the small. I guess I was actually more vocal at home, but like just with people, like I was just very passive. And like I can remember in middle school, we had I guess like 8 classes a day. I don't know how many classes, but somebody I left my purse in math class and somebody I went back to go get it like 30 minutes later and was gone. And so I got to like the last class of the day and I saw somebody with my purse on. And let me tell you how I know it was my purse. Back then, clear purses were popular, like completely clear purses were popular. And like she still had like my stuff was still in it and she had it on her shoulder. And I didn't say anything to her. Like nothing. Absolutely nothing. 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 Like I didn't tell anybody. I didn't go to the teacher. I didn't say anything. I was just like I didn't say. I feel like the reason why I am like I don't let anything go and I address things head on is
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like anything I don't have like a middle ground. Like maybe sometimes I do let stuff go. Like sometimes I do let stuff go. But if it's a matter of like something that I've said is in question, or something I've done is in question, or something that somebody's doing to me is in question, I always address it right then. I always want the facts right now because I don't want to feel like I don't want to feel like 3 days later, man, I should have asked them such and such, but now it's too late. Like even like my manager, he'll text me and say, hey, he'll ask me a question, and before I answer, I'm like, well, can you tell me the basis of this question? Like, why are you asking me that? And we have a very good relationship, and he knows this is how I am, and so he'll tell me, and I'm like, okay, well, here's the answer. Everybody doesn't operate like that, and everybody doesn't see everybody doesn't accept that. They don't have to, but it's a byproduct of who I was for so long, even in relationships, in those toxic relationships, or because I've had more than one. I've had two where I just did anything, and at some point you're like, oh, it's the ignorance because you don't know. But then when you do know and you don't say anything, that's another topic. So I've been on both sides, and so now I'm a person that's just like, if this happens all the time, then we're like, if somebody's like, hey, do you want to go to dinner on Wednesday? Sure. Then Wednesday comes in, I'll get you. Friday, like good morning. I'm like, hey, before we get to the good morning, we're supposed to go out on Wednesday. What happened? And people do not like that. I'm sorry. If I accept your good morning and we start talking, to me, that's me accepting your behavior. I just feel the need to address it immediately. So I know that's a long answer to your question, but your question really made me think and reflect. And that was a great question.
Okay. So you've mentioned quite a few things in there, but I think one of the key things you kind of mentioned was the passivity that you had when you were younger beforehand. You said you wouldn't say anything, right? And then you got to a stage where you did begin to, I guess, say something and assert the boundaries. Okay. Um, but obviously, okay. So for you yourself, at what point does either become, because obviously you're quite talkative, like not in a bad way, just talkative. That's how you are, right? Um, so at what point does either become that point where you are more encouraged to talk? Because obviously you're talking about being passive in a point in time, right? So at what point does Ida then have that transition? What happens in Ida's life that you transition to a place where you're now going to speak up for yourself and say what you feel and what's in your mind at that point in time?
I think it was probably, honestly, it was probably when I started, because you can say what you want to say and it not be effective, or it just goes into like it can be frivolous, and so everybody can have a frivolous conversation. But for me, it was probably around, I don't know, probably when I started working in my current company. I've been here for 9 years, and
Okay.
some of the mentors or people I've worked with have, and the company and stuff, they just really encourage honest conversations. So that's when I feel like communication became more effective, because you can be in a conversation, y'all can talk for 3 hours, 5 hours, 3 days, and then at the end just be like, well, we just want to agree to disagree. It's not gonna take me that long for us to figure out that we're gonna agree to disagree. And it doesn't mean I don't have, like, I can respect your opinion and move on, or not respect your opinion and still move on if it's like a casual acquaintance or a work situation. But um I feel like probably at the point where I just started, because to me, for so long, my life was kind of anchored by my relationships, mainly like my romantic relationships. So they're like the center of my life, which I tell you about the journal. And so in those spaces, sometimes, not sometimes, I'm just going to speak for me. Sometimes for me, it was, I didn't want to speak up because maybe I didn't want to know the truth, or maybe I didn't want to start an argument, or it got to the point where I was like, why say something? I know I'm going to stay with him, so why even say something? And that's all stuff that I did to myself or said to myself, or, and none of that changed the circumstances. Me not saying something didn't make somebody treat me better, or, it wasn't like some mind, telepathy where I was like, I'm not going to say nothing. So he's just going to come in and tell me. And so I'm like, all right. One of the things I learned and going through therapy is like, like what you want something, you have a desired outcome. What's your plan to get your desired outcome? You want answers, how you gonna get them? By just sitting there hoping somebody reads your mind and tells you what's going on. You ask the questions. And then the other part for me was, and my mom says it couldn't be more true in this instance, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So if you have a question, let's say your significant other comes in, or let's take relationships out of it. Let's say your boss, like when my boss texted me that particular time, he was asking me about something about my performance. And he was like, hey, when did this happen? And it was a very particular question. And I was like, hey, first of all, good morning. Hope you're having a good Monday. I just wanted to know, like, what kind of details are you looking for? And why are you looking for them? Instead of being like, I feel like you question, what you questioning me for? Why are you talking to me like that? Like, it's a way to handle things, and you may not always get your desired result, but you can walk away saying, like, you know what? I was a decent person in that situation. So, in a relationship perspective, like, you want to, you see, like, like your guys acting different, something's going on. Instead of being like, I feel like you cheating on me, you can simply say, hey, what's been going on lately? I feel like something's different. Like, it's a way to say everything. And so effective communication, and also learn boundaries, no cap. I'm not being shady, but that's something that I did talk, like, I've even read books about it. But it was more so for me setting boundaries with other people for myself. And so just kind of going through those things, and not to be cliche, but doing the work. I'm not perfect, and I still see my therapist, and we still talk about, like, I'll be like, hey, this situation happened this week. Like, I hate how I handled it. I want to talk about this, all kinds of things. Mostly, like, life is about relationships, platonic, professional, romantic, whatever.
Yeah.
Life revolves around relationships. And so that's like a lot of what I talk about in therapy, because, like, it's important to me. Obviously, relationships are important to me, and I want to make sure that I'm nurturing them in the right way, and also giving out the energy that I want to get back.
Okay. So I love the point that you kind of rested on there. Just then, for anybody who's listening, hopefully you guys are paying attention. But you spoke about, obviously, how, I guess you're talking about your learning processes and what you haven't gone through therapy. You've learned quite a bit, and just on how to better communicate, your actual feelings in that regard as well, right? So I really appreciated that. If you don't mind me asking as well, I mean, what was your original intent for going to therapy? Because I think this is something that Black people don't really talk about. We kind of dodge therapy. It's like the no-go zone. But I think it's so important for a lot of us, especially we've all gone through things. So that's nobody's an exception. We've all gone through things. But what was your original intent for going to therapy in the first place? What were you looking for from therapy?
I wanted to go somewhere and talk with somebody who didn't have a prior knowledge of anything, and also didn't have the ability to maintain that opinion when I came back with something else. So, for instance, if I'm like, I come to therapy and I'm like, oh, this is what happened with my boyfriend today, the therapist is not gonna be like, girl, I told you to stop messing with him, girl, because you every time you be saying the same thing. Your therapist is not gonna tell you that. Your therapist is gonna be unbiased, and they're going to say, it's not about the person, it's about you. So they're going to come back and say, okay, well, what do you think it is that that you have going on, that you're allowing this, or that this is like, it's really about changing my behaviors. That's what I'm like, okay, at some point, I feel like the things that I'm going to are very redundant. And so I want to know what it is about me, or what it is about my behaviors in professionally, romantically, my family. I had it was everything, and I just felt like I wanted to talk to somebody who I didn't feel like, oh, well, make sure you promise you're gonna keep this between us. Like, no, I want to go in there and just be like, oh, like just go off. And that is like the correct therapist for me. Like I went through three before I got the one I've been with now for like probably almost 10 years. And I can come in there and just be like, let me tell you. Or some days it's like good stuff. I'm like, yeah, I had a good day. Or we'll talk about like a new restaurant I tried. It's just like I could just go in there and her job is to listen. And if I have an issue, like it's no judgment. It's no judgment at all. And it's also not that retention of, well, I mean, the last time he didn't do this. I mean, you ain't saying nothing. So it's not criticism. And it's because you can have a lot of different type of listeners in your everyday life. People who criticize, people who don't forget nothing, and then the people who give advice, or the people who are just like, well, you want me to pull up? Like it's all these different things that are not helpful. So I wanted to just be in a space where I say, this is what's going on, and I know this is absolutely bananas, but I just want to talk to somebody about it and not feel like, I want to leave here and leave it here. I don't want to say what I got to say. Then if I'm still with this person, then once I bring him to Christmas, now everybody is like, she told me he would come home last night, girl. Like I just wanted to subtract that part from my life. Additionally, I feel like a lot of people need to get therapists because they don't understand or comprehend or care that when you are calling someone and telling them all your problems all the time, that is so heavy and it's selfish. It's super selfish. Like it's just selfish and it's heavy. And so like you giving that person your burden to share, well, they didn't do anything to earn that. They got their own burdens, no matter how trivial you may think their burdens are. So I just want to go somewhere where I could just be like, oh, this is what happened today. Release. No matter how small.
It's interesting you mentioned. I appreciate it, Shannon. You mentioned you mentioned a word which took me to another part of Ready to Love, where you spoke about the word being judged, and you mentioned it just now. And so I want to ask this question. So Ida, tell me, when has Ida felt judged before?
I feel judged every day. It is not necessarily bad. Judgment is judgment. Judgment has a negative connotation, but judgment is judgment. So even if somebody meets me, like I've met people and they'll say, oh, I'll talk to them and at the end they'll be like, oh, I thought you were gonna be a bitch. And I'm like, they're like, but you're not. And I'm like, yeah, that's not that's still not cool to say, really, but okay, whatever. Or I'll meet people and they'll say, like, I can't tell you how many people I meet. Like, I thought you would be this way. I thought you would be that way. So that's a judgment, and I don't care. Because regardless of what somebody thinks I am or should be, was just the other part of judgment. Like meeting somebody, being who I am, and then being disappointed because what they feel like I should be, was crazy to me because how can you tell me what I should be? I don't know. But I do feel judged all the time. And like I said, it's not a negative connotation. It's just, that's just life. And I'm just very cognizant of people's energies, their vibes, how they react to me. Like, if I can be at a gas station and I hold the door for somebody and come in, and I'm like, oh, I like those Air Max. And they're like, oh, thank you. We have a whole conversation in line at the store and they'll just be like, you know what? You are so nice. And I'm like, thank you. That's a judgment. It's a good judgment, but it's a judgment. So like, I don't really feel like there's not a time where you're not being judged ever. If you leave your house, somebody's judging you. And it's up to you. I always say, like, you can't control what people think or say, but you can control how you react to it.
Okay. I hear that. It's just because when I saw you on the show, you mentioned it. You spoke about at that point with Diedrich, where you said obviously about the cooking and feeling judged, and then
I can talk about that specifically.
Yeah.
I can talk about the
Okay.
cooking specifically because so
Yeah,
Diedrich is a chef,
sorry.
and so I'm the youngest. Not, I'm the youngest girl. I have two older sisters and a mom, and my little brother who he was the prince, the king.
Mm.
But growing up, like it's not that I didn't cook, but like I didn't have to cook. I had a mom. My mom can make gravy from scratch. Like my mom can
Mm.
cook, and then I have my two older sisters, and they can cook too. I never had to cook, and so being like going through dating, like men will be like, "Can you fry chicken? Can you make greens? Can you make such?" And I'm like, I mean, like I'm sure I could figure it out, but like nobody's running to my house to get no peach cobbler. That's just facts. But since he was a chef, I was like, I feel like that was magnified. So I was like, yeah, you're an actual figure. Listen, I don't know if you're an actual chef. He said he was. I'm gonna take his word for it. But since you're a chef, I should let you know, like I can cook, but 99%, 100% of the time, I'm cooking for myself. I like my food, but like I'm not ever being like, if you want a steak, you should come to my house. No, if you want a steak, you should go to a steakhouse. So, so I
Mm.
mean, like that was what I was talking about in that particular space. Like, I the question like men. That's when they're like warm up questions. So, do you cook? I'm like, do you cook? Like my last boyfriend cooked better than me. He's from Louisiana, and he enjoyed cooking. He would cook. I would do the dishes. That's partnership.
Mm. Okay.
I'm like,
Okay.
that was one of his strengths.
So obviously, because he was a chef, and obviously you didn't cook when you were younger. Was that an assumption that he may judge you? Because like obviously he hadn't said. I'm guessing he hadn't said anything to sound like he had judged you. So was that your sentiment, your feeling, kind of just to say that, just to make sure he wasn't gonna judge you?
Well, that's honestly that's a like being in the South, being a woman in the South, being a black woman in the South. Everybody wants to know if you can cook, and I'm like, can you cook is very relative. I cook all the time for myself. So like, can you cook? It's like I don't know. It's a loaded question. So then like usually it's a segue to somebody trying to come to your house, but I'll never go for that. But it's a loaded question for a woman in the South, especially a single woman. It usually is on the way to some sort of judgment. It's
Okay.
usually like it never ends with it either ends with well, when you gonna cook for me then if you can't cook. If you can't cook is like it never ends well.
So
That's just the
are you
truth.
saying are you saying that's your experience? You've experienced that then from my gender males.
Yeah, some people a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, either if you like, yeah, I be in the kitchen cooking. Oh, well, when you gonna cook for me then? And then if you're like, no, I don't really cook, then it's the distasteful face, like make no sense. Women these days don't be cooking. The way to a man's stomach, wait till his heart's through his stomach, and I'm just like, but I have Uber Eats and DoorDash and all of that, like whatever. But I would say honestly, I've never had any complaints about my cooking, but I'm just not I don't have a passion for cooking. Like my
I
sister
understand.
has a passion for cooking. My mom has a passion for cooking. Like both my sisters love cooking. My brother loves cooking. I have a passion for it. I'm like, it's gonna take 2 minutes in the microwave. Well, what am I gonna do for 2 minutes while I'm waiting in my hot pocket? That's me.
Okay. Yeah.
I just have a passion for it. I mean, it's just not a passion of mine, but for a
That's
lot
cool.
of people, it is.
I get that. I get that. So, I was only asking a question because obviously I was trying to see did he say anything, but if he just asked, because obviously, like I said, I'm linking it back from what you've told me, so I'm just linking the information. So when you talked about judgment earlier on in your
Yeah,
life, and then talking about the judgment with Diedrich, he didn't actually say anything. He just asked a question about if you can cook, and that conversation then took the
right.
course it did take in that moment.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Obviously, whilst on Ready to Love as well, you did obviously fester up some connections with. Obviously, we saw with Diedrich. We also saw. Well, we didn't actually get to see this, but I did hear on the other lives that you had the connection with Khalil as well. I say a little bit of a connection. You guys were talking at least, and having some conversations that seemed to be interesting, to say the least. For you, I mean, obviously, because we didn't get to see much of Khalil anyway. So, what was the attraction to Khalil in terms of you guys bonding the way you guys did behind the cameras, or what we didn't get to see? You know what I mean?
Yes. So the first thing Khalil said to me is, "I like your tattoo." It's tattoo on my arm. I don't know if I got to see it on the show, but he said he liked my tattoo, and so
Okay.
he's like, "I like your tattoo." I was like, "Thank you." He was like, "I don't have any tattoos," and I was like, "You one of these people?" Like, I hate when people be like, "I like your tattoo," but I don't have any. My body is pure. But he wasn't like that. He was like, "I really want to get a tattoo, but like, I don't know where to start." And so
Okay.
I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Listen, the key to getting tattoos, the first tattoo you get, it gotta be trash. Like nobody gets a good first tattoo. It gotta be trash." And he just died laughing. I was like, he gets me. So we
Mm.
went to go sit down and we talked for so long that production came over there and was like, listen, y'all need to go talk to this person, go talk to that person. Um, but I don't think a lot of people got a chance to talk to him, or I don't know if they did or they didn't, but Khalil is super funny. He's smart and
Mm.
he has a lot to say. And I think that anybody who is a teacher, because their passion, they're like, they doing God's work, honestly doing God's work if you're a teacher, because nobody gets rich teaching, but if you actually have a passion for it, he was telling me about high school, then now he teaches like elementary school, and I was like, man, like that is a super important job. And he was like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, because like you are laying the foundation for the rest of their lives. Like we all know somebody who can't really spell, or like we all know somebody who you're thinking somewhere the link was broken somewhere in, you know what I'm saying? Or people get to high school or middle school in some cases and they drop out because they're like,
Mm.
when you get to those places, you're building on what you learned before. I'm like, man, that is such an important role to play in a kid's life, elementary school teacher. And so we talked about that. And I was like, I told him if money were no object, I would either be an English teacher or a barista. Be a barista. But so we had a long conversation before it got cut off. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I did like Dietrich. Dietrich to me, even he said I was like coming across as nervous, but he had like a huge wall up when I first met him.
Mm.
And but we had so much fun. Like they didn't like we me and Dietrich like laugh every time we ran into each other, bumped into each other. Like we actually ate dinner at the same table that night at the mixer. We had like we were cutting up. I saw him recently. They had a party for like the premiere, and I hadn't seen him since we filmed, and we were like just laughing and just talking or whatever. It's like it's a good like vibe. I don't know if it's a romantic vibe because we never explored that, but he's
Mm-hmm.
super funny. And like he's just funny. I enjoy hanging out with him at the party. What y'all didn't see also is that I spent quite a bit of time with Ron on Friday, and then not Friday.
Ron,
That
yeah.
was Saturday. We had
Okay.
the mix up. I spent quite a bit of time with him, and so you'll see on the last episode when I was like, oh, they showed me giving him a hug, and they showed me saying something about him. That was because we had spent time together before, and we were actually talking when production came over and said, "Hey, Ida, can you go talk to Stacey and AJ?" And I was like, "But I don't want to. I'm busy."
Hold on, hold
And
on,
they
hold
were
on, hold on.
like,
Pause. Okay, pause. Wait. So, okay. So we're now at the point where you're being told by production to go and speak to with when Stacey and AJ are talking, basically. Yeah.
"Hmm? On that teeny
Okay.
tiny love seat, yeah."
Yeah, it was very teeny tiny.
But
Okay.
we
Okay.
all fit on there like a family, barely.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask you a real question because we last season we interviewed the cast members and they came on here and they said that the production pushed them to do things and we gave them smoke because we were told that they didn't have to do these things. So Ida, let me ask you a question. Were you obligated to do this or was this a choice?
Let me say this, because it wasn't presented in a forceful way. It was a finesse. You know what a finesse is, right?
Yeah, I know what finesse
Um,
is.
so okay, so take all these things into account. Let me paint this picture. You never been on TV. This is only our second day of filming. I am fatigued because the day of the mixer, we were with production or somebody from production or filming for like at least 10 to 12 hours the day before, and then they wanted us to go to brunch the next day. So you fatigue. This is only your second day of filming. You don't really know it's like when you start a job and you're like, they're like, can you stay till 6? And you're like, man, y'all should get off at 5. But you're gonna stay till 6 because it's like your second day, right? And then a month later you meet somebody, they be like, girl, you ain't gotta stay till those 6. Girl, you can leave if you want to leave. This is only my second day. So instead of, they don't come up and say, you need to do this or you better do that. They're just like, hey guys, hey, Ida, why don't you go join the conversation? Just see what they're talking about. Yeah, just go talk to them. Go see what they're up to. It's that. So it's not like, it's not forceful. It's very it's suggestive. Now, did I know that, like, okay, so let me say this. Like, I'm not under the impression, it didn't feel like a yes nor moment. It just felt like they wanted me to go do that. And they wanted to see, they just wanted to see us together, or maybe, maybe in my mind, I'm like, maybe they're having a really interesting conversation, in which they were, and they didn't show any of that. They were really having a really good conversation. It was just between them, which would have been better as a one-on-one conversation. But I'm like, I'm like, okay, when you meet the producers, you like, I was in that application process for a year. So by this time, like, I feel like there's a level of trust between me and the producers and me and the show. And so I didn't think they would ever tell me to do something that was ill-advised. I mean, like, you don't think, because the objective of the show is to find love, right? So surely they wouldn't make you look like a dummy, nor would they make you interject with somebody who's getting to know each other, right? Nor would they completely, like, delete any interactions, any meaningful interactions you have with people. You're like, because we're here to find love, right? Okay. So you're just going in with the best intentions and glass half full, not glass half empty, no pessimism, no suspicion. And so somebody tells you to do something or asks you to do something, you're just like, okay, because you don't expect what you get. And I get what, I'm not saying that they're evil. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if you've never been on TV, it's easy to be naive. And also, the producers are very likable. They're like our age. They are like laughing with us, talking with us. They, they're all like, they all look like us. You know what I'm saying? So you're thinking, oh, okay, like, and maybe that's a part of a bigger finesse. I don't know. But I didn't feel like they were setting me. I didn't feel like they were setting me up.
Okay, so were you aware of last season? Because
yes, I watched last season.
Okay, because we documented this last season. Like, people were coming out, and I was even getting in trouble for documenting these interviews with people. So we had Edwin, we had Naya, we had Denise, we had Adriana, we had Kalfani, all come out and say that they were kind of suggested for going to do something. But he also said they also had a choice. So were you aware of last season's candidates also being suggested to before this happened, before you jumped on the show?
All the people you named were on the show way longer than me.
Okay.
I filmed for 2 days. That's it. So you see, the Mixer episode was on, we filmed that on Saturday. We filmed the brunch on Sunday. So by the time people started asserting their rights, that was way later in the season. So from my other castmates, I have talked to them and they're like, oh no, I told them no. Wasn't nobody talking to all that on Saturday and Sunday. Everybody was out there, like, even on Saturday when the sun went down and we were freezing and we were like, can somebody bring us our coats? Can we get our coats? Like, we were all like being like super, hey, do you know where our coats are? Like, that was everybody on the first day. Of course, 2 weeks later, I'd be like, listen, I'm not doing nothing till I bring me my coat. Of course, that would be me 2 weeks later. But on the first day, like, you just kind of getting your feet wet. You just kind of, like I said, it's like going to a job for the first time. You don't come in your job like, y'all don't even have my desk ready. Y'all knew I was getting hired today, and my desk not even ready. You don't do that at your job on the first day. It's no different. Of course, 2-3 weeks later, you're like, you learning the ropes. You learning what you can do, what you can't do. I was literally involved with the show for maybe 36 hours. I mean, if they were already like painted this story around me, and I feel like that was predetermined. If that story came out of that, imagine what the story would have been if I was up there like, I ain't doing that. No, Nope. Imagine, but everybody you named from the last season, they all stayed on there way longer than me, and they were at a resort. So it wasn't really a whole. It was a different dynamic, and I do still feel like, regardless of all of them, you can say no, you can say no. When it was all said and done, a lot of them got played. They played them in the editing still.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Cool. No worries. So okay. So obviously we saw yourself. Then obviously, I guess, being kicked off for the show, or I guess, no, I didn't say kicked off. You were they
Kicked off, escorted out,
voted you
not ready to
voted you
love.
off. They said you weren't ready to
Air
love.
quotes on that, because did we get to see the conversations? No.
Mm,
Did we get to see anybody being like, I don't like her? Did they air any of that?
mm, mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
No,
Because
they didn't
that's what
air
my
it.
DMs say as well. That's what my DMs say as well. So
What are the DMs saying?
that, based on just base. Okay, I'm not gonna say my DMs. I'm not even trying to be slick, but I
Yeah.
have seen it nothing like, nothing like that, like nothing salacious, but it's not anybody that I've seen since the show, and I've seen everybody except for a few people. Everybody is like, and I think that's probably also why, like, when they came up to hug me, like, oh my god, and then I did tell them to swerve, and you could kind of see that they were kind of like, I don't know what happened in that
Mm-hmm.
discussion. We don't get to see it, but I don't feel that energy from any of them when I see them. They're not like, they're like, oh
I
my
get that.
god, hey, So
So why do you think that you were up on the chopping block this week in the show?
well, I'm not trying to promote any conspiracy theories, but everybody, like, somebody has to go home every week, right?
I
Two, three,
agree.
whatever. How many people they ascertain have to go home? They have to go home. So if okay, like I said, somebody has to go home. So it's like, okay, let's line this up and
Mm-hmm.
let's see how we're gonna let this play out. Okay, so this person, came in this way, and this person came in this way. Okay, well, she gave us a lot to work with to get rid of her. I don't know what the thought process was. I wasn't in the meeting with the guys. We didn't get to see any video. So I'm not confident that it was the men said you're not ready to love. Well, which men are we talking about? Which men? The men here? The men? Which men are we talking about? I don't know. So I don't know. But what I do know is that what they didn't show is I talked to every single person there, and that was like the level of festivity you saw when I was outside. Because I was like, get them out here and ask them why they sent me home, because
Mm-hmm.
that, like, the vibe was not how y'all are portraying it. And even
Mm.
in the first episode, when they show Jason saying, Ida was just talking and talking and talking,
Mm.
they did not show Jason being the one who came up to me to talk to me. Like, they didn't show any women being bored to death by the men's conversations. They didn't
Okay.
show any of that. Like, they didn't show, like, show me a woman on the show that was like, ugh, so and so was just like so lame, and then show his lame ass conversation. I don't
Yeah.
like the narrative sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of the times. Well, I wouldn't say this for season three, but this season so far, the mixer and the last brunch, the narrative has shifted so quickly to women pursuing men.
Mm-hmm.
And even when the men went home, like, the first episode was about the men going home, but y'all are still showing women out here looking crazy. Like,
Mm.
why not show why the men are going home? Nobody on the internet knows why Khalil and Christian went home. Show some of their whack ass conversations, or show they weren't whack. I talked to Christian for like a long ass time. Christian is super cool, super funny, super moisturized, great guy. Khalil, great guy. Like, why, if y'all sent them home, you gave the viewers no context. That's why viewers are upset about it. You gave them no context. You sent me home, you gave a little context. When are you gonna get to the context about, like at the mixer? It was me. I sat at the table with a few women, and we're just like, ooh, child, girl, we need a break. Give me some water over here, cause like, we were taking breaks together. Like, the women were taking breaks together, like, oh, not to say the men were lame or whatever, but the just the inequality in what they showed versus the final actions. Like,
Mm.
to me, I don't. Of course, Twitter and YouTube, whoever, all these people feel like they saw enough about me that it was justified that I went home. But tell me what you saw to justify Christian and Khalil going home. They're like, oh, well, they didn't talk to enough people. First of all, it's not
Ma-
true.
I could tell you a couple of reasons why they got sent home.
Tell me. I want to hear about it.
Uh, Christian's a great guy, too passive. From what we showed us, from what they showed us, we can only go by what we've seen. Too passive. He's in a field with dominant women. You're too passive. Simple as that. Khalil got asked. Well, obviously, I know the edit was probably mad. But I said this from his VT. This Mean Girls chat, it's not healthy. If you keep dating Mean Girls, you got to look at yourself. Ask the question why you keep dating these Mean Girls.
Now, I concur with that. I concur. Baby, I couldn't agree more. I will say that one thing that was kind of unfair that made the playing field unleveled, and I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if this was methodic or not, was when we were when we were coming to the mansion. Like, okay, they were like, "Hey, meet at a certain time," and they drove us to the mansion one by one, but under the premise of the nobody could see anybody. So it took so long for people to get there. It was people who got there at 10 and people got there at like 1 or 2. So it's like people got to jump on you. Like, if you got to go before whoever,
Mm-hmm.
you've been there hours more than other people. And I didn't think that was fair. This is not about fair or not. But if they're like, oh, Khalid didn't talk to enough people, like, but how long was he really there before y'all eliminated people? Christian, I don't think he was passive at all. To me, he wasn't passive, but it was okay. Because let's be clear, the men, they weren't. I'm not going to say that. I think it was equal. Like, when you came in, everybody, it was like a black family reunion.
In a
You walk in,
competition, you
everybody,
need to stand out. I'm sorry, in a competition, you need to stand out. You need to stand out. Very
or
simple.
okay, but or could we perceive this as, to me, I would have been fine with making one connection. Like, because
Of
in the
course.
end, I'm not here to compete with any woman because, like, at that point, like, that doesn't make sense to me if it's one man and it's two of us who are competing for him. I'm not going to do that. But
Mm.
could it be that, like, maybe Christian met somebody that he was really feeling and he didn't feel the need to talk to nobody else? Again, y'all didn't see it on that night. We talked, like, they went and talked to every woman individually or like in groups of 2 or 3. And so, like, everybody gave an opinion, but we never see, like, it's not okay, all of those in favor of sending Christian home, raise your hand. It's not like that. That's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So we really don't know if people wasn't feeling Christian. You'll never know, right?
We won't probably know yet.
And I
Depending
did
on what
talk
we
to a
see
few people who
on
was
camera.
like, Christian was cool. Like, when we came to brunch on
No, they
Sunday,
weren't.
people were
Listen,
still
no,
shook
no,
about
no.
it.
The footage were out. A lot of them at the very end when they sent Christian home. That was evidence in itself that they voted a Christian out. They was like, oh, da, da, da. And but they weren't. You're R'ing because you know he's gone. But let me come back because we can talk about Christian another time. I'm talking about Ida. So
Ah,
for you, why do you think they sent you home? Because as much as obviously I understand that it may not seem the way it looks like, but Jason did make that comment, which the boys did concur at the very end, that they felt like you talk too much. Now I've seen that obviously when I mentioned that earlier on about being talkative, I saw the body language kind of shift and a move. So you might have heard that a
oh
few times.
no,
It
it's
didn't
my
like
chair.
it.
The chair's a little
Oh,
uncomfortable.
okay,
That's
cool.
fine.
Maybe it's just a chair.
Listen,
Okay,
trust me. I'm 37. It's not the first time I've heard this.
fair enough. So for you, what made what do you think that the what, because I know you're talking about the men entering into the DMs, but I'll be very honest with you. I talk about guys' behavior all the time. Someone's attention in terms of having sexual attention is not attention. It's a different
Oh,
type of
and I did
attention.
not, and I want to clear that up.
I
Like
know
I
you
said,
didn't
the
say that.
DMs were
Yeah,
not, they were not salacious.
they
They
weren't
were not
salacious. I know you said
salacious.
that. I know you said that. I
No.
know you said that.
Okay.
I'm making a distinction in the sense of attention that men give. Men can give women attention because they find them
Of
sexually
course.
attractive, but have no intention of going to date, which is what we're doing with Ready Love.
Yeah.
So for you,
Women do
why do
that.
you think that they voted you off? Because they did vote. So why did you think they voted you off?
I honestly don't know, but okay, I will say this. In all fairness, in a world where I feel like Ready to Love was kind of like let's say it's an island, right? or let's say we're in Houston
Mm.
and you're one guy and it's 10 girls. What's the, and I'm a woman and it's 10 men, or at that point, maybe eight in the world. What's the chances of me finding somebody I want to love in eight men out of the world? So that being said, on the flip side, I don't think I didn't feel it was anything super personal with me. It's eight women here or 10, however many women, it was 10. If one of them, like it's a chance that, a very high chance, that you don't like any of these people, but somebody got to go home today. And if that's me, that's fine. Like, I've never, ever, ever been a person that was like, everybody just want to be with Ida. Never been the case. Of course, you know,
You're a
I'm
good
not
looking woman.
everybody's cup of tea. So it's very likely that, eight men, according to some sources, there were some people in there fighting for me. I've seen the footage, okay? It's very likely, like, I didn't talk to David at all. I did talk to him, but like not I didn't get to know, we didn't sit down and have a conversation really. So that's
Yeah.
cool. Me and KG had a conversation, but it was not a romantic conversation. But it was a good conversation, it wasn't romantic. And it was a few people who, like, honestly, like, if the tables are turned, like, I can't list a whole lot of people that I was even attracted to. So I don't expect them to be attracted to me. So that's not surprising. Like, somebody has to go home.
Of
But
course.
I don't
But
think it.
why did you have to go? Because you're a very pretty woman, you're intelligent, you're smart, you know what I'm saying? You're on point. But why did they vote you off?
I think that in a lot of instances, people don't like when people say talkative. I feel like the word talkative is overused and it's kind of a cop out at times.
Okay.
They should have said is inquisitive. I'm inquisitive. So if
Okay.
somebody says, well, I want kids because, um, like, I want kids because I just want to have, like, I want to leave a legacy. I'm not saying anybody said that. That's an example. Nobody said that to me. But then, so my question is, what kind of legacy are you leaving?
Hmm.
And since they're dumbfounded, they're mad. So it's not my intention to make you dumbfounded or to make you mad. But like, that's, if I have a kid with you, that's my legacy too. I want to know what your legacy is. So
Mm.
like, I was just like, I'm not here. I'm not here for the bullshit. I'm not here for the, well, I just always wanted, like, I just want to get married and have kids. Oh, okay. Well, how many kids do you want to have? Oh, three. Well, why do you want to have three? And do you think that's realistic when everybody here, with the exception of like maybe two people, everybody here is like pushing 40 or over 40? Do you think that's realistic? Like, people get mad, but I am super inquisitive, and only in that respect has it been to my detriment. I really do think that when they say talkative, they really mean inquisitive. And as far as the
Mm.
thing with Jason, listen, Jason is a very nice guy. He's super nice.
But
I'm not gonna shit talk on Jason at all, but like, our
but
interaction was very brief.
yeah.
And the fact that they chose, and it wasn't a connection. We literally were only talking about him being from LA. And when he moved to Houston, I was telling him about the first time I went to LA. He was telling me about the first time he moved to Houston. It was like actually like you might just be like a bro. At the end of this, like, it wasn't an attraction conversation. Every conversation you have does not have to be romantic. Like when I said
Romantic, yeah.
I talked to David, me and David were like laughing, kicking it, like, but it wasn't a romantic connection. You can't make it romantic where it's not. But where I did have the romantic connections that I mentioned to you, they didn't show any of those.
Okay. Let me ask a question. So from what I'm hearing, Khalil was you got on with Khalil quite
I
well.
did.
DJ
And they didn't show any of that.
DJ, you got on quite
Yeah.
well with DJ as well.
And they
And you
only
said
showed a part of our conversation at brunch. We
not all of
actually
it.
had like a breakthrough moment at brunch that they didn't
Okay.
show.
Which I think, to be honest, I think we can see that even though they didn't show the whole conversation, the fact that he was holding your hand shows for me that he went from here to holding your hand and trying to explain something to you. So for me, I could tell that obviously something had obviously clicked and gone in for that conversation. From what I'm observing from what you said. Okay, so David, Khalil, Diedrich, these are the people that
No, no,
actually
no, not
took time.
David.
Oh no,
Not
David.
David.
David just called conversation.
Ron, Khalil, and
Ron Khalil.
I talked to Ron, Khalil, talked to Christian. Christian was gone,
Christian.
and Dietrich.
And Diedrich. Okay, cool. And these are the people, and these are the people that obviously you felt like there was a good connection with in some
Yeah.
form, right?
Mhm.
Okay, cool. Were these are people also too who were actually trying to understand you, because you done something which is quite interesting. You done a positive exchange of talkative to inquisitive. Inquisitive is never really a problem when people are dealing in relationship. Inquisitive is a good thing. It's a very positive
It's
thing.
a problem
But
when
why did
people
it?
are
Uh-huh.
used to. It's a problem when people are used to saying things that they have absolutely no intention upon explaining, because you will find a certain group of people in this world who will hear what they want to hear. So if I meet a man, if I'm like, I want to get married and have a baby, and I meet a man that's like, I want to get married and have a baby too, and that's all I want to hear, we off to the races, right? I have questions. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like, we're not off to the races until we get these questions answered. And so, like, if I ask you a question and then I'm like, okay, then you ask me the same question back, or you ask me a question first and I
Mm.
answer it, that may be all they're showing. But like, it was always a two-way conversation. It was never like me sitting down, like, let me tell you my life story. It was
Mm.
never that. I can say with all honesty, with the exception of maybe one person, it was nobody that I approached to talk to first.
Okay, so they approached you. Okay, no, I mean, and to be honest, I would approach. You're a beautiful woman. I'm
Oh,
gonna
thank
approach if that makes
you.
sense. It's you know what I
You
mean. So
like
that
slid in my DMs. It was platonic.
for now,
Okay.
no jokes. Um, obviously, I can say that now, guys, because I'm single. I couldn't say that before. But yeah, no, real spit. So obviously, you know, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. I'm trying to nail you down though, because who, okay, so I know when I asked you, obviously, why do you think the guys sent you home, and I'm trying to nail you down to where, okay, what do you think Ida could have done better to have not been evicted from the show?
Okay, so it's something I could have done better, because how I can walk away and be like, is because I was my authentic self, and I understand that nobody is perfect. And if, like, to me, even first of all, none of those men were perfect. So, like, again, the question I posed to the producers is the same question I posed to you: is, I don't want to ask them why they eliminated me, because I was just me. And for some people, that's amazing. And for some people, it's just like, oh my God, I have a headache. It's just like, some people are like, I don't drink coffee, never drink it. And some people are like, I go to Starbucks 3 times a day. It's
Mm,
just what it is. Everybody's not for everybody. And if you try to please everybody all the time,
I
you
agree.
end up with nothing. So if who I am and what was offered wasn't to their liking, I can only speculate, because I've never inquired, because honestly, I knew them for 36 hours. So I really don't have an opinion. I really don't value their opinion on why they sent me home. If they had to make a decision right then, and that was the decision they made, I respect that. However, I don't feel like to me, you would come out better getting one of my ex-boyfriends on here, like, why you and Ida break up? Because they know me, versus somebody who knew me for 36 hours.
Interesting. I think I understand now. Yeah, I think I understand now. Okay, cool. I get what you're saying. Okay, cool. I get what you're saying. So I just need you to clarify this whole feeling on your booty conversation. Um,
Duh.
who be
I
feeling your
cannot
booty?
remember who it was.
Who was it? Was
I
it
just see it
Troy? That's
happen.
we trying to establish
It
that.
was,
And
you know what? It was not Troy. Troy and I feel like Troy and I, when I first saw him and we made eye contact, it was kind of like a, what's up? What's up? Like, everybody not gonna be into you. Like, I feel like I'm an acquired taste. Not even with the mouth and all of that stuff, but like, I'm not out here like, like, bow, 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 bow. I'm an acquired taste. And a lot of people are into it. Whatever. So um when I saw Troy, we met, we hugged, it was cool, but like, I never got back around to talking to him, and I was impressed about it. But I cannot, I can't remember who it was. But what I do know is that, like, okay, I'll say this. Like, sometimes when people are hugging me, they be like they'll hug you in the lower back area. And since I don't have and you don't want me to cuss. I don't really have a big ass. It's like so they just like keep going, and I'm like, that's
Mm.
staple, fade out, fade out. But there were a lot of people who were clearly, by their
Touching lower.
conversation and their actions, they
Mm-hmm.
were attracted to me physically. And that's fine. Like that's cool, great. I feel like it's to be expected. But I did feel like a lot of people were. I couldn't figure out who was being inauthentic, which is why I stopped giving out hugs and I just walked off. I was like, all right, that's enough for me. Bye.
Mm.
You're not gonna
Okay.
keep me here hugging everybody all. I didn't even know y'all. Bye.
Mm.
So I mean, like, I'm like, I'm going home. So like, let's not make it longer than it has to be.
Mm. Mm. Okay.
And
Okay.
they showed that, but they didn't show Tressa coming over to hug me and saying, "Hey, I want to keep in touch. Can you give me your phone number and your Instagram?" They didn't show that. They didn't show like the love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but why would they need to show that? Like we know that you're a cool person. Like the show never showed you in a negative light and it's like a baddie.
I'm sorry. Have you been on Twitter?
Yeah, but that's Twitter. Like Twitter,
I mean,
Twitter, Twitter destroys everybody.
I've seen, I've so rarely seen any. Okay, so like for a day, even when I watched your video on covering the first episode, the meet the cast, and I was
Yes.
like, shit. And like I didn't even finish it, but I did see Dee on there talk shit. I didn't finish it, and so I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do any more YouTube. And then I got on Twitter, and people were just like, people made all these judgments when if you could compile all of the time that I was on the three episodes, three, yeah, it would come out to like maybe 5 minutes.
Hmm.
And I get that again, people are gonna judge you either way. However, I felt like what they saw there wasn't enough to justify like any negativity.
Mm.
Like can't like maybe everybody's not the same, and that God didn't mean us to be. Like, God didn't mean for us to be the same. So like that's just it. We're just not the same, and that's
Mm.
okay. I think it's
No,
okay.
I hear that. I hear that. Okay, so let me give you my guess and my summary because I know people are asking me like, what did Kojo understand? Because I was like, I get it. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, let me give my summation, and I may be wrong. I may be wrong. So I'm going to summarize for the guys who are in the comment section who are probably asking me, what the hell did Kojo understand? Let me summarize it for you. So when we started the conversation, we went back into your past and got a bit of an understanding of who Ida was. One of the things that you kind of highlighted was obviously, we spoke a little bit, one, about the judgment, but two, also as well, being talkative and being a bit smart with your mouth and etc, right? One of the things that I kind of clocked from yourself when you were talking about the guys who were that you found interesting was that they showed no judgment, which is why the word judgment came out when you were talking to Diedrich. It's not the cooking, it's the judgment. And that's why I asked you earlier on in the show, in the conversation, was, Ida, when have you ever been judged? Because what I'm seeing from yourself is, even when I asked you, why did you get sent home? You actually didn't answer the question. You flipped it onto somebody
Because I
else.
can't tell you why because I can't tell you because I didn't vote to send me home. I
I
cannot
know you
tell you
didn't
why I got sent
vote.
home.
I know you didn't vote, but when you look back at the
Yeah.
show, you will look at some of the answers that they spoke about. And so what
Oh,
I'm
I'm
seeing.
sorry. I should have started by saying I haven't watched the show
Okay, that's
because
cool. Okay.
because I do not from the I will tell you when I stopped watching this show when they showed Jason on the couch saying, I mean, she was just talking. And I was like, let me rewind because did they show Jason walk up to me and say, I've been trying to talk to you all day, but you've just been busy. I'm just trying to get some of your time. Oh, they didn't show that part? Oh, okay. I'm done here. It's not equitable. So I haven't watched the show since then. So I don't
Okay,
know
so
what they
let me
said.
ask a direct question. Do you think they sent
Okay.
you home because you were too talkative?
If they could have, and if they did, good, because I'm not going to not be talkative.
Okay, cool. So
I
from
don't
your
understand. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
go for it.
Because last night I was talking to DD758, and he was like, I mean,
Yes.
what do you say to people? I may be paraphrasing. What do you say to people who say like you're too talkative? And I say, well, go find somebody who is more your speed
Mm-hmm.
because like it's somebody for everybody.
Of
And if
course, I
you
believe
like
so.
everything about me, but that I'm talkative, then you don't like me. And
Mm.
that's okay. And I think that we have to stop trying to, you know, contort ourselves to fit into what somebody else wants to our detriment. If that's who you are, that's who you are. And I told them this. I said, that's like me telling you your hairline pushed back. Can you grow that back? No? Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to be with you. If that's genetically, you got a fucked up hairline, or genetically you're bald at 35. How can that make you be different? It's no different than me saying, I'm 37. Like, this is who I am. And so, like, is this the worst possible thing a woman can be, is talkative? This is a tragic conversation.
No, so I think so. Let me give you a little bit of context to this. It's not the talkativeness. It is. We on this channel we talk about how people are reds, right? When people are reds, they don't know stop, right? If you give them a topic, they will just go. The problem with that is if you're not self-aware enough, you'll realize you actually railroad the conversation. And actually others who want to engage with you, who want to interact with Ida, won't have the chance to do that. So the very people who would interact with Ida, it makes sense. Khalil, Christian, and Diedrich especially, because I think he's also somebody who has been judged before. I think he was a bit bigger before and come down the size as well. He understands that. Khalil definitely would understand as a teacher, number one. Number two, also he likes mean girls, so I'm sure he's been judged several times before in itself. Christian too is a passive guy, and he's much more listening than he is talking, from what I can see anyway. So these men make sense as to why they made work with Ida, because they're able to work with that side of Ida. Now, but I'm not saying it's bad. What I'm saying to you is, in a context of when if we're dealing with a group setting, right, and Ida is a talkative person, it's not an issue until Ida becomes too talkative that no one else gets a word in. It's not Ida being bad, it's Ida being Ida. So when Ida gets,
that's not who I am.
I know, but we're not saying you're bad, by the way.
No. I'm not saying that being talkative is
self-awareness piece.
I'm saying that I'm not a person that will be at a dinner with 5 other people and y'all gonna hear me talk all night. That's it. You know what? Let me be very, very honest.
Flow.
I am a very, like, nobody. Listen, I'm gonna be 1,000 with you right now. Like, I actually suffer from like anxiety, and so I'm a person that, like, I'm either on or I'm off. So we can be at dinner and, like, when I'm there, I'll go to the restroom. I'll say, I'm going, where's the restroom? And I'll go to my car and go home. Like, I am not always on. And the conversations I had with Khalil and Christian and Diedrich, and they were all two-way conversations. We talked equally. And you didn't see any of the time I spent with AJ, but I talked to AJ for quite a bit. Yeah. And AJ was the one that talked my face off. And when he asked me a question, I went to answer it. He interrupted me and was like, yeah, let's go up there and sit with everybody else. Like, he didn't even have time to hear my answer. Like, he talked and talked and talked and talked. And even when we were sitting with Stacey, he did more talking than both of us. They don't show that because right now, whatever, I don't know. But I am not a person who, I don't just pull up on people and be like, no, like, there's several people in this world who would be like, oh, yeah, she doesn't have much to say. If I don't like you, I don't have much to say. So, but if you ask me a question, or if, like, with the conversation with Jason, it was a back and forth conversation. We were laughing and talking. He was like, oh, yeah, no, what is that? And I was like, oh, the such and such. Like, yeah, no, what is that? We talked about the neighborhood. We lived in the same neighborhood, like, together when he moved to Houston. You guys only saw one part of it. So I would like to clarify when I say I'm talkative, I'm not a yes or no person. So if you say, why do you like? I'm like, well, I like red wine, but, like, not like the Cabernet Sauvignon. Like, it's kind of dry to me. I mean, like, like a blend. And then once you get to, like, sentence 3, people are like, oh, she talks too much. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to explain what I'm saying. So, I mean, I just don't feel like there is a fair picture shown on the show of the two-way conversation. I did a lot of listening on the show, which was how I was able to know who I liked. If I talk so much, how would I be able to tell you who I like?
Yeah, but see, Ida, this is not. See, I want you to. Okay, so when I'm saying this is not an indictment on Ida to say Ida's a bad person. I need you to deep that, and I know you're receiving it like that because, like I said, this is why whenever I do interviews or conversations with people, I go to the very beginning because I know what you're doing right now. I understand why you're taking it the way you're taking it, so it's no beef. What I'm trying to get you to understand is this: let's do an
It's the
example. Let's do
accent
an
that makes
example.
it so palatable for me. It's the accent. It makes everything palatable.
Okay, you better stop
And so I'm
gassing me
like
up. I'm gonna call you
smiling.
tonight.
I mean, I can get it out there. You'll give me my WhatsApp.
Take a trip to America. You know what I'm saying? But no, okay. Let me give an example. All right, I'm gonna say the alphabet. You can interject at any time when I'm doing the alphabet. Whenever you feel comfortable to interject,
But I wouldn't.
A to Z. Okay, but you just try me. I'm just trying to show you something. So I'm gonna say from A to Z, interject anytime, right? As many times as you want. I'm gonna say A to Z. Okay, so I'm just gonna do it now. A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y Z.
Okay.
Now, that is a representation of what happens actually, Ida, when you don't realize that's what you do. When you go from A to Z, even though you don't realize, you go from A to Z, and when someone interjects, they actually can't get a word in because you're going from A to Z. It's not that you're bad.
Is it possible?
It's a self-awareness piece, because what's happening is this: others who are not as assertive. This is why I said it's Khalil. This is why it's Christian. They're not as assertive. If you see my reviews, I spoke about it. They're not assertive.
But they will. But I can call them right now, speakerphone, and he'll.
I know they will listen to you and do to a call because they complement your energy. No. That's not a beef. But when you find people who are trying to be able to engage with you, when you go from A to Z and you are talking all the way through and they are trying to get a word in, you literally, the example is that you go from A to Z without giving them a chance to talk. It's a self-awareness piece. It's not that you're bad. I need that to be made that very, very clear.
And I agree with bad. I understand that. I'm not saying, again, like I said,
you're not gonna love you, girl.
The feedback from people. However, I would like to say that if there's two things I want to say. If I need to complete my thought or my sentence, you interjecting, you're actually being the rude one here. If I'm trying to complete my thought or sentence, if it takes me longer to complete my thought, I'm sorry. But I'm not like, okay, you asked me a question, like, what time is it? It's 12:55. I'm about to go to Starbucks and I'm about to do this. I'm not like jumping from 5 subjects without taking a break. But if you ask me a question and I'm trying to answer it, can I answer the question? And then you can have your rebuttal. I would say that, number one. Number two, I will also say that there is unless of course you're speaking from personal experience, like today, I feel like there's a lot being determined based on like such a small subset of information. And I will never characterize anybody, a Christian, whoever, as somebody who's just acquiescing to like my communication style. These are two-way conversations, and you don't get to see those. That's completely fine. That's completely fine, and that's just fine. That's kind of what it is.
No beef. I hear that. Let me ask you last few questions.
It's like you hitting the keyboard. It's like a signal to like your people, or like, what is that? You're like,
what? Oh, is it me? Is it me doing that?
Yes, that's like your second time doing that. I'm like, well, what is that?
Wait, oh no, I clapped. Okay. I clapped.
You hit the keyboard. It was like, boom. You have a keyboard right there?
Yeah, I do. I'm not touching it.
You touched it.
Maybe it's my thing. Sorry, man.
I was like, no. It reminded me of something else. I was like, okay.
Okay, no worries. We can talk about it after. I was just gonna say, obviously, so for you, obviously, your experience on the show, what would you say that you took away from the show? What did you learn? What did you gain as experience coming off that show?
I learned that I don't know that I learned anything. It was such a short experience, you know. I think that it's ironic that we talked about me asserting myself and being more like basically assertive, because what I learned was if I knew what I knew now, if I knew it then, I would have came off top the first day like, nope, I ain't doing that. Nope, I'm talking to him. We good over here. But like, that's just not me. Even if being assertive doesn't mean being rude. So if you're somewhere working, because if you're getting paid, you're working, right? Like, again, this is like a job. Basically, you find a love, but you're also getting paid. So like, you're working. You sign a contract, you're working. And so like, I'm just not rude. So even if they would have asked me to do whatever, I would have probably done it because I'm just like, okay, well, okay, I just got here. I don't know how things work. But I don't know. I would have differently. I thought about that. Honestly, I don't give a lot up to the show just because of all the kind of negativity surrounding it. And that was never my intent. My intention was never to bring like negative energy into my space. I don't like negative energy, and I feel like it's brought more negative energy into my space than I would have ever. I just didn't intend on that, and it's a very negative. I don't know what I would have done differently. I couldn't be anybody besides myself. I don't know what I would have done. Maybe ask for a go play when I got put out the show because that food was. They ain't show the food. That food was good. I probably would have been like, listen, what's I gonna do with the rest of that food? I mean,
I hear that.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I don't know what I would have did differently on the show because I'm not saying, like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm not perfect. I'm a work in progress. But what I'm not going to do is put into like my life process the opinions of people I've only known for 30 hours.
Of course.
I have enough to work on, like to date, versus going to my therapist and being like, hey, I know it's another copay, but these people who I've only known for 36 hours said I was too talkative. Like, can we work on that? I have a lot of other things in front of the opinions of people who I don't really know to work on. So I don't know what I would have done differently. Maybe if I had been a longer, I could do a better answer.
No worries at all. No worries at all. Well, Ida, thank you so much for being, candid and honest. I appreciate that. It's been a good conversation, and I appreciate that we had this, conversation back and forth as we've done. Because I think I like to have these kind of conversations. You know what I'm saying? So I love the fact that you were able to be open about your past as well and explain it to us so we can get to know you a bit better as well. So I really do appreciate that as well going forward. One last thing, Ida, just need from you. I just need you just look here. Just need to see something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just trying to see how you look when you fall in love. No worries. Appreciate that. So, yeah, baby.
Listen, you know how my name. Book the flight. Let's get it popping. I want to go to I want to have espresso overlooking the river. All of that. Yeah? I'm on the way. I got the espresso.
Okay, I got you.
I want to go to the open air market and get some of that hard ass bread and some fruits and a magazine, all of that.
Okay, I appreciate it. Okay, I'm gonna have to write that list down then. You get me? So watch out for the Ida Project exclusive. You get me?
Then y'all look up again. We're gonna be over here with the couples channel. Y'all gonna be mad about it?
Ready to love.
Yeah, we're gonna be like, listen, we really ready to love. And y'all mad about it.
No, I appreciate that.
Thank you
so much, man. It's been a pleasure, honestly, man. And we wish you luck on your future endeavors as well. And I might have to have you on here again. I like your energy, man. It's correct. Like I like people who've got correct energy. So
I would love to have you on here again. Anytime.
I appreciate it. Audience members, thank you so much. Thank you for being regal and being, respectful in the comments and the chat. We appreciate you, man. And we will see you again soon. Probably see you tomorrow night for Married at First Sight live. Join us then and come with your ideas, your thoughts, and I know your opinions as well. Appreciate you guys. Stay locked and stay loaded.